Welcome back, Lelanders. Today we're going to be discussing a viewer question about Australia. Now there's some more details that the viewers wanted to see about Australia, so that's what we're going to cover in today's show. First things first, I guess we'll give a little bit of an background history about what this ley line map is all about. So people can see, we'll start on North America as it's the most easiest to explain. Where this map is basically ley lines drawn by using measuring points such as the equator, the tropic. Let's show people. View grid. Yeah, so the tropic line, the equator, Tropic of Capricorn and Cancer, lines like the prime meridian and the Arctic Circle. The only difference is, instead of making each line smaller and smaller until they get to like tiny circles, each line on my map is a great circle, which means it goes around the whole globe just like the equator. A full circle. And there's actually a new Indiana Jones game about it. It's called Great Circles. And big shout out to the game creators if they happen to watch my research on Great Circles. All the power to you. Thanks for making a sweet game topic. Alright, so let's remove the grid and we'll leave my lines. And we'll see how adding blue lines is like another layer, similar to the Perry-Reese map, how it goes like yellow, red, blue for line patterns or green. So you can see it outlines Australia pretty good, or South America. So anyways, with the yellow lines, you can see I call them gravity well points because the land often bends around it, but not directly on it. Like you see on almost every gravity well point. Something to do with the land has altered to reveal just water there, especially in this region. So if you go and you follow that pattern, it outlines Africa into Asia, India, Southeast Asia, and this line pattern even outlines Australia. So we have had quite a few viewers from New Zealand and Australia commenting because the ley line videos are getting pretty popular on that side of the world. So big shout to everyone there. Thanks for watching, sharing, liking, all that jazz. Alright, so next what we're going to do is we'll bring up, I think, the viewer's question, and we'll cover whereabouts they want to see more detail on Australia. If you've seen the title image, then you probably got a little bit of a clue. Alright, so here we have Mystic Mana Astrology on YouTube. Would like to know Uluru would be interesting to research. I think I'll call it U for now. So that's the title that we have to type in, Uluru. So we'll bring up Google Earth. Uluru, Australia. And we'll follow it and see where it goes. Blue line activated. So lo and behold, it turns out the blue line actually does pass over right on top of the water hole in Uluru, or close to the water hole. Really right on the edge of that part. Wow. Now I'm just a little surprised because usually when people want to see something, it's usually close to the ley line, not like directly on it, so it's pretty wild that it landed directly on. Looks like there's a body of water there. I'm not sure if that, or it's another rock type. Yeah, I would love to see this rock. Oh, there's another part to it. So it sort of connects the two tips there. the line passing across. It goes parallel with this canyon or whatever that is. River, canyon, creek. Can't really tell from this altitude. This water here seems like it's a pretty important body of water. So the national park. Oh, if that's a body of water there, that's a good one too. Yeah, so the mouth of this body of water, if I had to guess, one of the most sacred spots in the region, probably right there, eh? Who knows though? Well, I guess maybe the locals there know. Who knows? Oh, there's a gorge there. Wow. That is quite impressive. Now, because I've never really been to Australia, can't really offer too much more insight other than we can check out a few similar mountains that I've researched before. So people could speculate there could be some connection. Lines up with Hermannsburg. The major gravity well center from there would be right by Sandover, where the Mueller Creek bends around the gravity well. Yeah, that's a nice little bend there. Eh? You can see the water is coming through and then hit the gravity well, bent around it, and then went back on its normal path. Owen Springs, what was that? Owen Springs Reserve, Wallace Rockwell, Fingal George National Park. Yeah, so that whole area there, really into the ley line energy. No, it's ironic. It's not, well, I shouldn't say it's ironic. It's kind of fitting that Plum Ridge Lakes Natural Reserve is the other gravity well line. So you can see the two wells. It's almost directly between them, man. The halfway point between both wells. When you figure it's two gravity wells spinning at the point where they meet in the center, right? Uluru. Now, if anyone's been looking at this gravity well pattern for Australia and they think it looks a little bit familiar to Australian history, let's bring up a little bit of that. So what we have here, oh, there it is. What we have here, this is a map of the proposed states of Australia in 1838. So you can see that line pattern with where it intersects and divides it, that almost matches the gravity well map to a T, which I find that kind of interesting that I guess happened just by random chance, or someone actually uses these gravity well maps and we're just not really familiar with it. Well, Portalon charts were actually used for a long time instead of our modern maps. And then all of a sudden we invented the meteor projection maps, or I think that's what it's called. And then almost everyone switched to using that instead. But who knows, maybe some map traditionalists kept using Portalon charts instead. I just like to convert them to Google Earth so we can have a better way of looking at them, or easier way. Now, I noticed some viewers have also been asking to do a show on Tasmania. But I don't think we'll have time to cover that one because we got a lot to discuss today. Alright, so just to give a background of what some of these maps are, or these sacred mountains. Here it is, Uluru, the ley line, the star. What kind of significance does this have? Well, it turns out where I live, We also have another mountain that's very similar. Ours is called Mount Cauldron, or Mount Cheminis. It's on the border of Ontario and Quebec, about an hour down the highway that I actually live on. Not even an hour, 45 minutes. And yeah, just to give a shout out to some of the people that are from this region. I recently got married, and the guest of honor that we had at our wedding was Abraham, one of the Beaver House elders from the region of that mountain. So we're going to be discussing Beaver House, so I figured I'd give a shout out to Abraham. So you can see the similarities between the mountains. I don't know if this one has a crack dividing it at any point, maybe not. I think ours might be a little bit unique in that aspect. Oh, I remember where it is. Alright, so here's Uluru, the one that we've been discussing in Australia. And it's part of a UNESCO heritage site. That's cool. Iron oxide rich area. This area is actually rich in iron as well. There's Dreamtime stories. That's a big part of my family's culture or history. 10,000 years ago. It's nice that they've been able to preserve it, didn't get destroyed by mining. You can just imagine the minerals that are in it. Waterfalls. Wonder if the Ice Age has anything to do with them. Crater beings were there. Wow, that's pretty wild. Curses. We'll cover the curse topic a little bit. Alright, so that's kind of neat. So that's the history of the Uluru one, or Mount U. This is the one by me in Canada up north. There's the Beaver House people that we discussed earlier, Abraham, one of the elders. Yeah, if you see him in town, now you know who he is. Mount Cauldron. So this was a place of ceremony also for the indigenous people here. Now this is where it gets a little bit dangerous. Now I definitely don't condone this type of thing, but if you look up the Quebec version of the same mountain here in Ontario, it gives a little bit more insight to the history than the English one does. They talk about it being a place of healing. There's a story about a cauldron that was made on top of the mountain by the creator with a bolt of lightning. Big shout out to the guest that was on our podcast talking about that earlier. If you want to go back into the Magi Show archive and check it out. If you can't find it, let me know, I'll link it. Yeah, there's also stories about the creator being on top of this mountain. So here's where it gets into the dangerous part when we talk about ancient cultures and mountains. A lot of cases it involves encounters with the Creator, but it also involves sacrifice. So this is one of the situations where we see why Christians or Catholics or whoever followers of Jesus talk about Jesus being the new sacrifice, so that we didn't have to do these old sacrifices on mountains anymore. Things like the story of Cain and Abel, where they were doing sacrifices on a mountain to summon the Creator or God. So here we find out that Mount Cheminis had a horrible murder occur, or some sort of killing. Anyone who's tried to keep it not so graphic, that there was body parts that were found on top of the mountain, gun stuff, and someone wearing city clothes. So they never did solve the mountain mystery or murder on the mountain. Some people speculate that it could be some sort of sacrifice ritual. Now, another mountain that's similar to this. Let's check out the height for each one. Sorry, you can see I wasn't kidding that I live on a highway. Does it say the elevation for this mountain? 527. Uluru is 800, I believe. 800. So an extra 300 higher. And here we have another one, Mount Tabor. And I was talking about how like Jesus was involved in mountain sacrifice rituals as well, but he was supposed to be the new one. In his tradition, or Christian tradition, it talks about the transfiguration of Jesus. So this is where Jesus went up to these type of mountains, did the ritual to summon the Creator, and transformed his body into an advanced life form, like a being of pure energy. So it's considered one of the greatest miracles that's ever been performed. I think some other prophets have done it in history as well. People could put it in the chat. I think, was it Muhammad maybe, and could be Buddha too. But yeah, once you transform into a pure energy light being, it seems like that's where it usually occurs. It's on some sort of mountain or holy land place when you're summoning the creators. So we could see that same tradition being universal, I bet, on Uluru, Mount Cheminis, Mount Tabor. How does it connect to the ley lines? Well, we can see that these energy points or the gravity well technology could be related to the transfiguration. Just a speculation. Who knows? So that's why I think some of these ley line energies and gravity well technology in general, it's good for creating not only nuts and bolts type new technologies, but maybe even advancing ourselves spiritually. Pretty deep topic, but alright, I guess we'll cover some of the other ones. Let's go with Next, what I'll do is I'll show how this connects more to gravity well stuff on other planets. Alright, so here we'll have a picture of, let's bring up our Mars. Alright, this is one of the more popular things. When you get these ley lines with mountain energy, they also correlate on bodies like Mars, not just Australia, not just Canada. So that's the type of the things that you see why volcanoes in the old days were associated with the sacrifice energy. If anyone hasn't heard of that ley line before, it's when you talk about that energy is so powerful, it's associated with all these different events. Things like the 9/11 or what is it, Titanic, Hitler, Jesus, different sacrifices. Um, so that's those ones. So next what I'll show, this one is kind of like the star thing where we got those 3 volcanoes on Mars. You see that duplicated again in things like Orion's belt. And with Orion's belt, it also reaches out to the heavens past Taurus, and that was considered the horn beast ritual that people were doing on top of these mountains. The ritual that Jesus was here for to replace, the Alpha to Omega, Alph or Aleph being the horn beast. Yeah, and this culture with the bent knee symbolizing Orion is found in Asia, Aztecs, Egypt, basically all over the world. Yeah, big shout out to J.J. Ainsworth for sharing the one from South America. That was a hard one to find. So now we start to see like what is the history of Uluru and what does it have to do with the ley lines. We're basically looking at the technology of the ancient gods, how they create things, the heavens and the earth. Alright, so I think that's basically all I can talk about for Australia today. We don't want to make the show too long, but thanks a million for the viewer question. We'll try to do Tasmania next, I think. No, Tasmania is definitely another place where the ley lines have crisscrossed and cut apart the land. And so close to New Zealand and Australia that it's probably a good topic to do soon too. While the ley lines are popular in that part of the world. Maybe, who knows, we'll even do New Caledonia. That one looks neat too, as soon as we get a request for it. Now, if anyone hasn't seen the history about ancient Australia, you might want to check the videos where I did about the South Pole, or the Mega South Pole, back when Antarctica used to be actually merged with Australia. A very long time ago, they were actually one continent, a giant South Pole. And when they split apart with this giant crack separating the Earth, is when the Ice Age cycle started, the wandering of the poles. There it is, the giant crack in the Earth's crust. So thanks all the viewers for tuning in, watching. If you want to check out my affiliate links, really appreciate it. If you can like, sub, and share, that helps out more than anything. And if you keep the questions coming too, like what is it, like the other viewers have pointed out, let's give a shout out to them again. Yeah, so thanks again for the question, Mystic Mana Astrology. I'll have to check out that channel sometime too. See ya. Bye for now. Later. Later.